During the International Surrealist Exhibition in London in 1936, guest speaker Salvador Dali addressed his audience, dressed from head to toe in an old-fashioned wetsuit, with two dogs on a leash in one hand and a pool cue in the other. He started and waved his arms for help. The audience assumed it was all part of the performance. According to art legend, the surrealist poet David Gascoigne eventually rescued Dali. "I just wanted to show that I dive deep into the human mind," said Dali after he recovered. Dali then finished his speech, and it came as no surprise that the accompanying slides were all presented upside down. This anecdote highlights the absurd elements of Dali's surrealist movement, which was considered a sort of joke by early 20th century art institutions. Surrealism was an artistic and literary movement. This movement defends reason and individualism. The aim of surrealism, namely surrealism, is to liberate thought, language and human experience from the oppressive limits of rationalism. Breton had studied medicine and psychiatry and was well versed in Freud's psychoanalytic writings. He was interested in the idea that the unconscious, which produces dreams, is the source of artistic creativity. Breton, a Marxist, aimed for surrealism to be a revolutionary movement that could free the minds of the masses from the rational order of society. Thanks to automatism, a practice similar to free association or stream of consciousness, surrealists began to produce unconscious works of art. Surrealist artist André Masson's canvas Battle of Fishes, 1926, is an early example of automatic painting. However, not every surrealist chose to create such abstract works. Many surrealists agreed that the representation of something's true appearance in the physical world can more effectively evoke an unconscious reality. Artists such as Dali and René Magritte have created dreamlike visions that open up to a strange world beyond life. In Magritte's La Clairvoyance, 1936, there is a state of dream or hallucination in which an artist depicts a flying bird looking at an egg lying on a table. Although surrealism is associated with flamboyant artists such as Dali, Breton already included a large group of artists and intellectuals active in Paris. Built on the anti-rational tradition of Dada, members of surrealism included the poet Tristan Tzara, the painter Francis Picabia, the writer and sculptor Marcel Duchamp, the film director Jean Cocteau, and the writer Antonin Artaud. He was indecisive about his subject and had a habit of excommunicating members whom he felt did not share his view of surrealism. For example, Desnos and Masson were expelled from the group for their unwillingness to support Breton's political aims through the Second Surrealism Manifesto of 1930. Surrealism, which is an interwar movement, responded to the post-World War I era, which saw the gradual rebuilding of major French cities, the rise of the French colonial empire abroad, and the rise of fascism in Europe. By 1937, most of the major surrealist artists were leaving Europe to escape Nazi persecution. Had to. Max Ernst's Europe After the Rain 2, 1940-42, reflects a post-apocalyptic perspective at the height of World War II. The immigration of surrealists during World War II spread the movement's influence across America. With the rising trend in the 1930s and 40s, the new generation artists also turned to the fields of psychology and mythology. Jackson Pollock's Guardians of the Secret, 1943, is an example. In Latin America, surrealism found its voice in the work of artists such as Frida Kahlo, who was her personal artistic style. In Arbol de la Esperanza, 1946, meaning Tree of Hope, Kahlo paints not a real tree, but a double self-portrait set in an unusual landscape. So why is this trend important? Surrealism represents a crucible of avant-garde ideas and techniques that contemporary artists still use today, including the incorporation of chance elements into artworks. These methods paved the way for a new style of painting pursued by abstract expressionists. The surrealists' focus on dreams, psychoanalysis, and fantastic imagery inspired many artists working today, such as Glenn Brown, who directly adopted Dali's art in his own painting. The idea. Given the method's embrace of the element of chance and its propensity to produce images that are funny, absurd, or shocking, it has become an appropriate technique for creating exactly the kind of unconscious, collective work that surrealists seek. historian and music. The critic Greil Marcus went so far as to characterize surrealism as a series of revolutionary attempts to liberate thought, stretching from the curses of the medieval heretics to the 1960s and beyond. Seen from this perspective, surrealism was developed in the 1960s, including later the situationism art movement inspired by Marx. It can be considered as the ancestor of punk, which is the project of the counterculture protests of the people and even the rational order that society imposes on individuals. What do you think about surrealism? Waiting for your comments.